Hi, my name is Cheri Jones, and like so many other authors out there, I thought it would be a good time to read my book that I just recently published. So here we go. The book is titled Jemaine the Traveling Goat. It's written by Cheri Jones, and it's illustrated by my good friend, Bob Fuller. And he did a great job with the pictures. I know you're going to love them. So, here we go. I had been sitting on the shelf for weeks, dreaming about my forever family. When would they walk through the door, notice just how special I am, and take me away? Don't get me wrong, I like the Logan Park Visitor Center, but it does get a little lonely around here. The Logan Park Visitor Center is the highest point you can drive to on the Going to the Sun Road in Glacier National Park in the wonderful state of Montana. The road can be dangerous with tight turns, steep cliffs, and breathtaking views. The perfect place for a young kid like me. You see, I'm a mountain goat, born at the top of the world in the Rocky Mountains. That means I am brave and adventurous, not to mention charming and handsome. Wait, someone is looking my way. Oh, look, honey, isn't that the cutest mountain goat ever? It's just like the real ones we just saw on our hike. Do you think the kids will like him? Asked Mrs. Jones to her husband. Does it really matter? I think you've already fallen in love, joked Mr. Jones. But yes, I think the kids will love him as well. He is quite handsome. It sounded like this family had good taste in mountain goats, but would they be the right family for this mountain goat? I gave them my best sad-eye look. It worked! We headed outside to meet Maddie and Jake. Maddie rushed to her mother right away and hugged me tight. Jake cried, I want to hold him too. Hold on, let's make sure your hands are clean, said Mrs. Jones as she wiped Jake's hands. We want to keep his fur nice and white. So far, so good, though I was disappointed that I did not see any other baby mountain goats nearby. And then Maddie asked, what do you think we should name him? I know, Snowball, because he looks like snow, replied Jake. I've got an idea. How about Jemaine, after your grandpa? He has white hair. People call Grandpa an old goat, and I think he would get a kick out of it. Plus, then it's like we're taking Grandpa on our trip with us, suggested Mr. Jones. With nods and yays all around, I was now Jemaine. I was not thrilled. What kind of a name is that? I was going to have to meet this grandpa and decide for myself if he was special enough. But I did not have much time to dwell on it, as Mrs. Jones said, All right then, kids, everyone in the car. We have a lot more exploring to do before we go back to Mini Glacier Hotel for dinner. That's when I figured it out. Human children are also called kids. I was sad that I was not going to be living with any other baby mountain goats. Though they appeared to be a friendly enough bunch, the funny name and lack of other mountain goats was disappointing. Back in the car, Maddie and Jake took turns holding me as we drove through the rest of the park. Many times we would stop and do a short hike to a clear lake or waterfall. With over 700 miles of trails, we could have hiked all day. Every time we stopped, Maddie would load me into her backpack, so I was able to see everything too. Well, almost everything. Look, Jemaine, what a pretty butterfly, Maddie remarked. I'm afraid he didn't see it facing backwards, said Mr. Jones. Why don't you wear your backpack on your front, and then his head can peek forward? Oh yeah, blushed Maddie. From then on, I had a bird's eye view of all the action. Plus, I was starting to get a little sick traveling backwards. I knew that my current home was totally awesome, but even I was impressed by the sheer mountain faces, lush greenery, and wildflowers. The air was filled with fragrant smells. Here's some interesting facts about Glacier National Park. It's huge, larger than the whole state of Rhode Island. There are 130 lakes and hundreds of different plants and animals. It's the 12th largest national park in the U.S. and a hiker's paradise, Mrs. Jones explained. Sorry. Just want to make sure I get the right. There are bears, golden eagles, and wolves, not to mention bighorn sheep and mountain goats like Jemaine, she continued. Wow, what a great place to be born. I was very proud. When we finally arrived back at the hotel, everyone was starving. Luckily, Miss Jones agreed that I could come along to dinner, and we joined all the other hungry families. Ugh, I'm stuffed. What's for dessert? Asked Jake. After dinner, we walked outside on the deck to watch the sunset. I was surprised to see that we were right near a large lake with the mountains stretching high into the sky. I heard Mr. Jones say that the view was just like a postcard, whatever that means. I'm bummed that we have to leave tomorrow, Maddie frowned. Me too, sighed Jake. It's been fun, but we need to get a good night's rest. We'll be leaving bright and early in the morning for our 16-hour drive home, said Mr. Jones. That's when it hit me. This would not be my home any longer. Where would my new home be? I had no idea how far away a 16-hour drive would take me. Would I have my lovely mountains and lakes? I couldn't sleep worrying about my future. But that did not stop Mr. Jones' excitement the next morning. It's a long drive, but there's a lot to see along the way. That's the great part about taking a road trip. Part of the fun is the adventure, he said. After an early breakfast, we were on the road. Boy, was Mr. Jones right. I got to see so much I had never seen before. Large open plains with snow-topped mountains off in the distance. It made me wonder even more about my new home. To pass the time, everyone played card games, including I Spy with My Little Eye. Something green, said Mr. Jones. Those bushes, Jake shouted. I know, the grass, said Maddie. That sign we just passed that said Casper, 100 miles, joked Mom. Also, sometimes Maddie and Jake would watch a movie, read a book, or play a video game. I like just looking out the window. It took a long time, but we finally crossed the border into Wyoming. It wasn't much different than Montana, except it was very dry and windy. I must have dozed off because before I knew it, we were stopping in a city called Cheyenne for some dinner. Shortly after that, Mrs. Jones hit the horn. Honk, honk, as we crossed the border into Colorado. Soon Maddie and Jake fell asleep, but I was too excited as I knew we were getting close to my new home. Late that night, the car stopped and I realized this was it. I wanted to look at everything, but Maddie was exhausted by the long trip, and soon I too was asleep in her arms. The next morning at breakfast, everyone was talking about about the trip, and how much fun they had. Then Mr. Jones asked, "So, kids, what sounds good for a road trip for next year? Maybe Mount Rushmore, the Grand Canyon." "Can we take Jemaine along with us?" asked Maddie, as she hugged me tight. "Yeah," piped in Jake. "Well, of course, Jemaine is a member of the family now," said Mrs. Jones. At that very moment, I knew that wherever home was and whatever lay ahead, this was the right family for me. And I could not wait for my next adventure. And now, some interesting facts about mountain goats. Okay, males are called billy goats, females are called nanny goats. Adults weigh between 99 and 300 pounds, so they get pretty big. Mountain goats usually live 12 to 15 years, and they stay with their mother for their first year of their life, unlike human kids that stay with their mom for 18 years. They live in the mountains of northwestern North America, which is in Alaska, Canada, and the U.S. And they are native to this part of the country. Mountain goats like to eat grasses, moss, herbs, and twigs, which make them herbivores. And they stay away from cougars, bears, wolves, and golden eagles. And finally, here's some facts about Glacier National Park. Glacier is known as the crown of the continent due to its beauty and plant and animal life. There are 61 national parks in the U.S., and Glacier is the 8th oldest, founded in 1910. So that means it's over 100 years old. It's been around a long time. There are glaciers in Glacier National Park. Funny, huh? There were over 150 active glaciers at one time, but only about 25 today. Another place in the U.S. where you can find a lot of glaciers is in Alaska. Hey, good old Jemaine the mountain goat is the official park symbol. And nearly 3 million people visit Glacier each year, making it the 10th most popular national park. So lots of people appreciate Glacier National Park. And that's our reading of Jemaine today. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you have a safe and healthy day. Thank you.